Hi everyone. Right, well, I've got a great project that I've decided I'm going to begin today. I've been thinking about it for years, never got round to it, and that is I'm going to claim back the bit of garden behind my new greenhouse, which I've always wanted to incorporate it into the main garden, but it was always very dark, very shady, and I never got round to it. So I haven't actually had a walk through that bit of garden for, well, probably at least 6 months. Sorry, my eyes are watering. It's so cold today. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and I'll walk through the area with you. And then we'll see how big an area it is. I think it's quite sizable. I've always just thought of it as the overspill area, but and we'll see what plants that I've got in there. Right, so I'll walk you through and show you the area that I'm going to tackle. So I'm going to clear this path up here so you can see the task ahead. This is the area that I want to sort out and make it part of the garden really. The two rhododendrons, they are going to stay. But this buddleia, I'm going to cut him back. I'll cut him right down and dig him out. And under all these leaves here, I'll have to clean them all out. There are numerous different plants that over the years I've popped into this area because I had nowhere else to put them. All of these lovely shrubs here, these are lilac trees, and they go all the way along. And I think that one there is a forsythia, so he'll be flowering shortly. So the lilacs will stay, but I think I will sort of prune them back. I'll have to watch a how-to video. Right, I recognize these leaves down here. So this is oxeye daisy, a big patch of oxeye daisy. This leaf here is Japanese anemone. I have quite a lot of those in this area. This big tall plant here, I mean that's taller than me and I'm 5'6". So that must be at least 6 foot. Now this is helenium, a beautiful helenium. I might actually split him. I definitely know that this is a beautiful aster. And then this here, this tall plant here, that is Linaria because I recognize those leaves there. And then I've got Aquilegia. Oh, and look at that I've just spotted. One little lone hellebore. Isn't he beautiful? Another patch of Linaria. This area here used to be full of lily of the valley. I'll show you. I think I can see one coming up there. I think that is a lily of the valley. And when we were excavating the soil to put the foundations for the new greenhouse down, we had to put the soil somewhere, so we dumped it in this area. And I can see some of my beautiful iris have got moved as well. My thinking here is that the path will come all the way through just the way I've walked there and out here. So I've got some nice bits of slate. So yes, I just want to get cracking in this area. So I think the first thing I'll do is I'll move those dumpy bags over there, get rid of them, tidy that corner up, and then work into the area, work along, then get rid of all this soil. I'll store it somewhere because it's lovely garden soil. I don't just want to chuck that away. Give everything a a darn good weed. This is a beautiful rose that I transplanted from another border. I've got some iris there, some more oxeye daisy, mombretia, and then we're sort of out into the main garden there. Oh, I've got an ice plant here, beautiful, and loads of lovely crocus in there. And this, all this brown stuff lying over here is Crocosmia lucifer. So yes, this area of the garden was always very, very dark, and we used to have a massive tree up until December last year, a huge London plane which went right at where the new coal frame is there, all the way up. It was as tall as our house. It was huge. So we had that taken down because I've got lots of trees in my garden already, and it wasn't the prettiest of trees. London planes are usually used in city centres because they apparently grow very fast, and very tall. Right, and you can see where the dumpy bag is lying. It's on top of bulbs and things. But considering the huge project that we undertook to build the greenhouse in this area, and I'll put links to the videos in the description box below, I don't think the garden's done too bad. All of the plants that were in this area, and there were a lot of them, I potted them all up. And they are behind my husband's car over there, all in pots. So normally I wouldn't be tidying borders up so soon in February, because I do like to leave the garden as late as possible in case there are things nesting, or I once dug up a New Zealand satinflower and transported it down to my daughter's house, and when we were putting it into place, found a lovely little mouse fast asleep in a nest in it. He continued to sleep the whole journey. Right, and in case you haven't seen the video, all this brown down here is because I've recently, just a few days ago, reseeded the lawn, because that was in terrible condition because we trampled all over it in the process of building the new greenhouse. So we'll just get some perspective on this part of the garden. So the area around the front there, I've always thought of as part of my garden. The area at the back was where I put overspill plants that I love but had no room for in the main garden. You know, when you're dividing your plants and you've got no one to give them to, or nobody wants that particular plant, I couldn't throw it away, so I put it in there. So I know I've got a lot of lovely plants in there already. And I'm thinking with this shrub here, when it has flowered, I'm going to prune it down, take probably a third of the dead wood out the middle, and then take the height out of it as well, so that when I'm in the garden, instead of just seeing this huge mound of shrub there, I'll be able to see straight over the top and see the newly developed part of the garden. So I'm very, very excited about this. morning because I worked away last night until I actually couldn't see what I was doing anymore. So it might not look like I've achieved much, but I have filled one of these dumpy bags already, and I've put that at the top of the drive. I'm going to take that down to the recycling plant and get rid of that. I excavated this area. First of all, I filled it up with some of that soil from over there. And then I found all these bricks underneath my compost bin. And I think they're block paving bricks. So what I've decided to do is, I had a bit play around last night. I did actually take footage, but when I looked at the footage in the editor, it was so dark that you just couldn't make out what I was doing. So I've had to scrap all that. So my thinking is, I should have the tripod, shouldn't I? I've worked it out and I can make a little path, sort of this kind of shape coming down here, because if you've seen my video on my cold frame, this is how I get into that cold frame in between the two rhododendrons. This is a beautiful golden one and this is a beautiful deep red one. So yes, not totally practical but very beautiful. So yes, I'm going to do that, and then I cleared loads and loads of leaves and everything from here, and then get through the rhododendrons. So I dug a lot of the soil out of there. So I think this is fine. I'll just leave these bits or flatten it round and plant it, and I'll put the path through here. Oh, and the other thing I did was I dug the buddleia out of this area here. So originally the path was going to go around and sort of meander through, but realistically, when the New Zealand satinflower is in full flower and the ice plant and all the anemones come up here, as well as the helenium, am I really going to be able to sort of get a wheelbarrow or whatever, a trug through this way without damaging plants? So I found underneath these leaves, I remember about 15 years ago now, I put a plank of wood right along there. I think it sort of goes to just past that old pot there. So that was my initial path through this garden, and what I'm thinking of, this is Linaria, and I've got tons of that in the garden. So I'm going to dig that Linaria out, put him somewhere else, and then once we move that pot there, see there's the wood, I've got a very straight line through here. I'll wait until this branch of the lilac has finished flowering, and then I may cut this off down at the bottom because I've got all of that lilac. It's part of the same tree spilling over that way. I don't know. I'll see when he's in leaf and flowered if he sort of gets in my way. But my thinking is now that I'll go straight through this part of the garden here. I'll dig up this beautiful hellebore with a huge root ball so he doesn't even know he's been moved, and pop him in a pot or in some other part of the garden. I've got loads of ivy. Anyway, and doing it this way, I won't be anywhere near this beautiful Michaelmas daisy here, so I'll not damage that or that aquilegia down there. Right, so that is the plan. Let's get cracking. Right, so I'm going to dig out this Linaria here. There's also some oxeye daisy right beside it, so I'll try and leave that in situ. There we go. I'll just stick that over there as well, for the time being, without snapping the lilacs. So right, you'll see I'm just digging quite a wide path all the way through and taking out plants that I want to keep. Got lots of wild geranium, that's what this is here. So he's coming out. So this geranium has a lovely pale pink flower, and he's one of the first ones to flower in the spring. Great source of early nectar for all the little bees that are waking up. And then I found a lovely patch of aquilegia here, which I hadn't even noticed. This is how I ended up with millions of overspill plants because I can't bring myself to throw them on the compost heap. Dig this hellebore out very carefully. There we go. So I've just dug a huge clump out. He'll never know he's been moved, and I'm moving those bulbs with him. Put him there for the minute. This here is just, what is this? No, you can see I can see another hellebore here. They'll be self-seeded, but they're mixed. Right, so I've just found these. This is the area where I've dug that hellebore out, and these are hellebore leaves, and that is. So it's probably the same beautiful dark pink one. Sort all these out later. I just want to get the path through. Right, let's look back and see what I've got. Right, so there we go. I'm well pleased with that. I don't know how long it's taken me, but well under an hour. So this is where my path is going to be laid. So I'll level all this off, and then I'll get those bags of sand out and lay that down, and then I'll get my slate tiles or whatever I've got lying around that I'll make a path out of. Right, it'll be a little bit noisy because I haven't got my mic on, but this is the path that I've carved through. So I've just used a rake and raked it relatively flat. It should be a bit wider at the bottom here, but these hyacinths are going to come up and flower, and I don't want to dig them up just yet. So when they've flowered, I'll move them, and then the path can widen there. Right, so now I'm going to get some builder's sand and lay that before I put the slate down. Right, put this one in there. and in there. And then I just give them a little tap with the mallet. I've decided not to put them on a base of builder's sand because these block paving bricks were obviously left over from when the block paved drive was put in. But when we had some work done on our house, the builder then said that these are garage forecourt quality block paving. So he said you could park a juggernaut on these and they wouldn't crack. So that's it. It's only a little path, but it'll serve its purpose and it can't be any bigger because these are the only bricks that I have. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just pull the soil in round, level it out, pull this soil round, and knowing me, I'll sort of plant plants round here. Right, so this is the last of the builder's sand that we had left over from when we built the greenhouse. So I'm thinking I'm going to get a load of bark delivered and I'm just going to bark that area there where it's very high traffic. Both my compost bins are here, both my cold frames are here, and I'll use this to come back through here to finish off this bit of the path here. Sort of dumped it in the wrong area. And I'm not even sure whether this is going to make any difference. But it's just bags of sand lying around, so I may as well use it up. It certainly can't do any harm. What the heck is that? Oh, I thought it was a snake. I don't know what that is. Right. So I think that looks really good. Can't believe how much time I've spent on this today. I've only taken sort of half an hour for some lunch and I went down to the recycling place and got rid of the dumpy bags of green waste. I suppose that took an hour in total. Made my little path. So this area here, I'm just going to bark it. I'm going to bark the whole garden, but I'll show you what I'm going to use as a path. So you've probably, if you've seen the video on my cold frames, I've used the same slate tiles. These slate tiles, I don't even know where they came from. We've had them in the garage for years and years. So I'm just going to drop them down on the path. They will crack when I stand on them, but I don't care. I think they'll just look very aged. And then these ones here, I'll get a cleaner one so I can show you. I actually dug these out of the garden when we moved into this house, out the back garden when we were building a pond. So I wouldn't have necessarily gone and bought them, but I've got 3 of these and they've got a little fox on. So I thought I'll use those when my grandchildren were really small. So they're 10 and 12 now, the oldest 2. But I've still got them, and now we've got the new baby who's 2. So I think he'll love them. So I'm going to put one down there beside the hyacinths. So I think that looks lovely. 3 little pavement stones there, and then I'll start with the slate. Right, so I really hope there's enough light left in the day now. It's let's see what time it is. Oh my gosh, it's 5:15. I feel like I should really have a cutting of the ribbon ceremony to officially claim this piece of garden. I'm so delighted with it. So it's taken me about a day and a half to do this. So you'll hear probably cracks from the, yeah, there it goes. So the slate will crack as I walk on it, but you can buy slate chippings at our local DIY depot, so it's no different to that. So I've officially got a pathway through my garden for the first time in 15 years. So this bit of garden is now officially part of the main garden. And I feel quite happy now that I can go in and I can cut these back, give it a general tidy up, and then I can bring all the plants around that I dug out of the space there where the greenhouse is. They're all in pots behind the car. There's all sorts, geums, London Pride, all sorts. So I can start softening the edges of this path, and because the tree has gone from here, all the sunshine, the south facing sunshine, is going to come down here. So a daylily will be great here. This rhododendron branch here is full of buds, so I'm going to let it flower this year, flowering soon, and then I'll cut this one stem back to about there, so that no, because that's the only one that blocks the path. And then when I get my bark chippings, this will all be bark chipping, and you know me, I'll be planting plants for the shade in there. I'll plant all this area out. So I've only got one thing left to do tonight, and that is I want to get this hellebore in somewhere, and I'm thinking, shall I put it in this part of the garden, because I will actually see it now, and I think I will. I've got to stop thinking of it as the overspill bit of the garden and start putting things in that I will see as I pass by. Right, so I'm thinking I'm going to put the hellebore here, right beside the path. Right, so I'll give it a quick tidy up. Right, oh, this is lovely soil.